But before I go further, I would like to just ask you, how many of you did attend my talk, my lecture during the conference, Quest for Success, about 3 weeks ago? Can you raise your hand? Okay. How many of you came for the weekend course last Saturday and Sunday? Can you raise your hand? Okay. How many of you have not heard me speak? Can you raise your legs? I mean your hands. Can you raise your hands? This is the first time you are listening to me. Can you raise your hand? Okay. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Well, just a little bit of introduction about me, myself. First of all, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a sheikh. I'm not a maulana. I'm just an ordinary Muslim, a lay Muslim. I'm not an expert in anything. Just perhaps a little information here and there and some experience, alhamdulillah. Well, my name, Brother Shah Kirit bin Kakulal Govinji. But if you want to make it easy, you can just call me Bro Shah. That would be easier. Okay? I converted to Islam or reverted to Islam about 23 years ago. And usually people ask me how I became a Muslim. Do you want to know how I became a Muslim? Yes? And that's the title for tonight. Do you want the long answer or the short answer? The long answer will take about 3 days, 2 nights. So you want the long answer or the short answer? Short answer? Okay, the short answer, how did I become a Muslim, would be by saying the 2 shahadas. That's how I became a Muslim. Since you all already know how I became a Muslim, I think I will just end my talk now. Wahiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. It has been nice to meet you guys. See you then. Take care. You can go home now. Should we stop now? No? Oh, you want to know more? Okay, very quickly. Do you know something? To share the story, to come into Islam within about 40-45 minutes, it is really, really challenging. And I was thinking, where do I start? What do I say? What do I omit, etc. But never mind, let's let it flow, all right? Okay, I have said certain things during the conference about 3 weeks ago, and I tried to give you new information as much as possible. But very quickly, I was born into a non-Muslim family, and from young, I've been used to do idol worshipping. At the age of 9 or 10 years old, I stopped idol worshipping. I knew the idols themselves, in itself, they were not gods. And every time when I'm told to pray, this is how I used to pray. And because in the house we have the altar, and in the altar you will have all the idols, the statues, the pictures of the gods, etc. And you will light up the lamp, and you do the prayers. And I will pray, idols, I know you are not God. If I lift you and let you go, you will fall and you would break. You can't even defend yourself. How could you possibly protect me? But these prayers are said in the heart, not loudly, because my parents will be beside me. If they hear, they would have beaten me up, okay? So, and I will continue with my prayer, and I will pray, God, I do not know whether you exist or you don't exist. But if you do exist, please take care of me. But if you don't exist, there's nothing to talk about. So from the age of 9 or 10, I knew the idols themselves, in itself, were not gods. But I wasn't sure whether God exists or not. Did God created man or man created God? I wasn't sure. And just to make it short, I grew up more as an agnostic. You know what is agnostic, right? They don't reject God, but they're not sure whether God exists or not. Maybe God exists, maybe God doesn't exist, maybe there's a kind of a superpower, etc. Not sure, agnostic. That's how I grew. And about 23, okay, just to make it just a very simple story, I grew up in Malaysia and I was working in a marketing firm. And I work as a salesman. You have salesmen in Australia, people doing sales. Okay, I just work as an ordinary salesman. Okay, and I was a workaholic. You must listen carefully, not alcoholic, workaholic. Work very hard and got promotion very fast. Okay, from ordinary salesman to senior salesman to supervisor to junior manager to manager, and within few years became area sales manager and would go to the board meeting and so on. Alhamdulillah, very quickly at a very young age. And in the board meeting, the others would be in the 40s or 50s, and me in mid-20s. Okay, Alhamdulillah. And one day, just to make it short, in the working place, these are the juniors managers would do the recruitment and so on. And there was one girl who came to apply for the job, and I saw her to be pretty, beautiful. By the way, are children allowed to hear this story? Okay, never mind. Okay, she was pretty, beautiful, and I thought of making friends with her. And I was very confident she would not entertain me. Do you know why? Because the beauty and the beast. But okay, we get along well. We became friends. And when we were as a friends, I reminded myself, Shah Kirit, be careful. This girl is from a different religion. She's a Muslim girl. She's from a different religion. She's a different race with different culture. Don't fall in love with her. If you fall in love with her, there will be lots of problems. And I told myself, don't worry, I will not fall in love, just friends. But you know, love is something that you cannot control. Some people want to fall in love, but they can't fall in love. Some people don't want to fall in love, they fall in love. For about 1 month, we are friends, and suddenly I realized, about a month, I realized I have already fallen in love. How do you know you have fallen in love? There are symptoms. No, not that rashes grow on your body, but the symptoms are when you are far, you got experience. Okay, good, right. When you are far, you miss the person. Those are the symptoms. Okay, and after about nearly 1 year falling in love, I decided I wanted to marry her, and this is where the problem starts. If I wanted to marry her, I got to become a Muslim. If I don't become a Muslim, she can't marry me. So what do? I was serious. I was not playing around. I wanted to marry her. But because of the difference in religion, I couldn't marry her. And I was thinking, why should I convert to Islam? What's wrong? If she's a Muslim and I keep my religion, when we have children, just get married. When we have children, teach them both religions. Buy one, free one. And when the children grows up, let them choose whichever religion they want. Does that make sense? True? No, you must think from a non-Muslim point of view. Does it make sense? Why should I convert to Islam? Why not she convert to my religion? You know, actually girls should follow the man, not the man follow the girl, not macho. Okay, because of this problem of different religions, etc., it took about 7 to 8 years in love, but cannot get married. And one day I realized age is catching up. And I really realized I have to make a decision. I can't continue like this forever. What should I do? Marry her? Then I go to convert to Islam. But if I'm not willing to convert to Islam, it's better for me to break off. Cut off the relationship. Because it's not fair for either one of us. Now you know that love is blind. Okay, you got experience, good. Love is blind. You know when people are in love, okay, they say they can even cross river of fire they can swim through, and by the time they reach the other side of the river of fire, they become cold. Yeah, because it's a river of fire, right? Okay. And you know, in Malaysia, we have these sayings: when you have fallen in love, okay, when you eat, you don't get full. When you sleep, you don't really sleep. When you bath, you don't even get wet. Because you're in love, in love. Okay, that was my situation. So I was thinking, all right, it's not easy for me to break off, to cut off the affair. Okay, let me look into Islam first. Let me look into Islam. I will see. If it is suitable, I will become a Muslim. If it is not suitable for me, then okay, we break off. Is that fair enough or not? I didn't want to become a Muslim just because I wanted to marry her. Because to change a religion is not easy. To change a religion is not like you go to a shop and you buy a shirt, you don't like the shirt, you go to the shop again, return back the shirt, or buy another shirt. Religion is not that. If you want to make a decision to go into any religion, you got to be careful. It is an important decision in your life. True or false? So I wanted to know more about Islam. So whenever I would meet an ustaz, or an imam, or a sheikh, I would ask them about Islam. What is Islam? Tell me about Islam. I want to know more about Islam. Oh, by the way, can I be frank? Is okay? Can I be honest? Can I be open? Not against your religion here. So I'll be frank, okay? When I meet ustaz, this is my experience, all right? I'm not saying everyone are like that, but this is my experience. When I meet ustaz or the imams, when I ask them about Islam, when they describe what is Islam, when they tell me what is Islam, it does not make me want to come into Islam, but rather it frightens me. I want to run away from Islam. The further I want to run away from Islam. When they explain about Islam, they always talk the do's, the don'ts. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. This is haram, that is haram. This go to hellfire, that go to hellfire. This is sin, that is sin. This is haram. This is fard. This is wajib. You must do this. You must do that. And I feel like, lots of do's and don'ts. For an example, they will say, once you become a Muslim, you have to pray 5 times a day. And I'm thinking, what? 5 times a day? How do I pray 5 times a day? Being a non-Muslim, just to go to the temple once a year, or maybe twice a year, is a struggle for me. Jihad. It's a struggle. My parent would have to force me, drag me to the temple just once a year or twice a year. And now you're telling me in Islam, I have to go to pray every day? 5 times a day? Be honest, guys. To wake up for Fajr, is it easy? Easy to wake up for Fajr, especially during holidays? It's a jihad, right? Okay, including brothers. How many Muslims during Fajr, they get menstruation? You understand what I mean? They don't wake up for Fajr. Why? Holiday from Allah, menstruation. Don't have to pray. And not you guys, maybe somebody else. Are we good? Clear? Now, once you become a Muslim, 1 month of Ramadan, during the whole month of Ramadan, you have to fast. Next month is Ramadan. You have to fast 1 month, from dawn to dusk. From Fajr to Maghrib, you cannot eat, you cannot drink, not even a drop of water. Your fast will be nullified. Hungry, thirsty. Once you become a Muslim, it's fard, you must give zakat. Zakat? Holes in my pocket. Once you become a Muslim, you cannot eat short buffalo. You know the short buffalo? The long buffalo is halal. I'm speaking about the short buffalo. Swine. pork. Because in my country, in our local language, to say the words is a taboo. If you say those words in our language, the Muslims over there will find very difficult to swallow their saliva. They will spit. You can get flash flood in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so you have to say short buffalo. Okay? Okay, never mind. Once you become a Muslim, you cannot drink beer. You know what's beer? How do you spell beer? B-E-E-R. What's the meaning? Beginning enjoy, ending regret. That's beer. I mean, before I became a Muslim, okay, there were times I would go and drink beer, but not because I like to drink beer. I mean, it's so smelly. I do not know why people drink beer. See, really, it is not, the smell is not nice. Okay? It's just, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, it's even worse than urine. I mean, the smell is so strong. I don't like it. When my friends, when you go to the pub to drink, they will order in jugs, okay? Okay, then they will pour, and the glass is full, and I will pretend drinking. My glass is always full. Their glass become empty, and they will fill up. They will top up. So they are all topping up. But my glass is always full, so it never get filled up. But I will always pretend that I'm drinking the beer, and they will all get drunk, and they will start telling secrets, one after another secret. But they all will not remember the secrets the next morning, except for me. Okay, I got to be very honest with you. When I became a Muslim, it was a relief for me. I don't have to drink beer. Whenever they call me out, let's go and drink beer, I say, I'm sorry, I'm already a Muslim now. I can't drink beer. It was a relief. But to be very, very honest, after I became a Muslim, I don't drink beer anymore. Only sometimes. That too, only certain type of beer I will drink, just a certain type. And that is only sometimes. And the last I had was about 3 weeks ago. Root beer. Okay, but many years ago, I had ginger beer. Can you understand? But that is halal, right? You know what's root beer? You have root beer in Australia? You know what's root beer, right? Do you know what's ginger beer? The name is beer, but it's not beer. It's a soft drink, okay? Are we good? Alhamdulillah, it was a relief for me. I don't have to drink beer anymore. Once you become a Muslim, you cannot gamble. But the worst of all is, once you become a Muslim, you have to cut. You know cut? Circumcision. And the way they describe how you have to cut is so frightening. When they say you have to cut, excuse me, okay? When they say you have to cut, they don't show it like this. No, they show it like this. Cut everything. Now who wants to become a Muslim? Crazy. So the way people describe about Islam is not convincing. It's very, very frightening. And just to make it short, because we don't have much time, what actually my first turning point towards Islam was actually the Quran itself, the concept of God. You know, in the Quran, you would have hundreds of verses in the Quran describing about God. Can I recite to you a surah in the Quran? A complete surah from beginning to the end? Not Surah Al-Baqarah. What I mean is Surah Al-Ikhlas, chapter 112, verse 1 to 4. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What does Bismillahirrahmanirrahim means? In the name of Allah, the most angry and the most punishing. It means that, right? No. But that's how Muslim describes about God. God in Islam is punishing. You do something wrong, you sin. You sin, you go to hell. Who here have never sinned before? Raise your hand. Who have never sinned before? Raise your hand. So everyone are sinners, everyone go to hell. I mean, that's the description how Muslim will portray about God. But Bismillahirrahmanirrahim means what? In the name of God, most gracious, most loving. Now, question to you, brothers and sisters, is God love in Islam? Yes or no? Is God love in Islam? Yes? To me, no. God is not love. God is most loving. Is there a difference between love and most loving? Shah Kirit can be love. But Allah is most loving. Not just love, but He's most loving, most merciful, most forgiving, etc. Okay, the first criteria. Kul huwallahu ahad. Say Allah is one and only. Yeah, that makes sense. God must be one. If God is more than one, they will fight with one another, quarrel with one another. One God will say, let's give rain to Sydney. Another God says, no, no, no. UMA has a talk in the masjid. How do they solve the problem? They do, I do not know. In Australia, you have this like pepper and scissors kind of thing. Probably that's how they solve. But if there are more than two, you can't do that. So in back home in Malaysia, we got a way out. If there's more than two, you do lat talilat tamplong. Okay? So it's a problem if God is more than one. Yeah, it makes sense. God must be one. Yeah, that makes sense. The second ayah is Allahu Samad. God is eternal and absolute. Yeah, God has no beginning, no ending. Yeah, that makes sense. If God has a beginning, then who created God? But in Islam, God has no beginning. So the question, who created God, does not apply to Allah because He's not subject to time and space. In fact, He's the creator of time and space. And today, if you look into cosmology, for example, you will find that the whole universe was from the point of singularity. At the point of singularity, there's no time, no space, no matter, meaning Allah has already existed before time, space, and matter exist. So Allah is not part time of time and space. So it's not subject to time and space. So the question, who created God, does not apply in Islam because there's no beginning. He is the beginning. God has no ending. If God died, then who will manage the universe? So in Islam, God has no ending, but He is the end. And then Allah is absolute. Yeah, He's perfect, complete. He requires no sustenance. God doesn't need to eat or drink or rest or sleep. But the whole creation is dependent on God. We human beings, we have to eat, we have to drink, right? After eating, after drinking, after some time, we have to go to toilet. Anyone who eats or drinks has to go to toilet. If God eats and drinks, what does it mean? That particular God has to go to toilet. Is it suitable for God to go to toilet? Is it suitable? No. God is most high. Isn't it so? Okay, the third criteria, lam yalid wa lam yulad. God begets not nor is He begotten. God have no children, no parent. Yeah, that makes sense. If God have children, what will happen? These children will be baby gods. When they grow, they become gods and they fight with one another. Just like in the movie Avengers, Thor and Loki. If God have parents, a bigger problem because parents are superior to the children. Imagine God have parents and the mother calls God, come here, God. And God says, yeah, mama. Nothing can be superior to God. And the fourth, walam yakullahu kufuwan ahad. There's nothing like unto God. Whatever you can see is not God. Even if you close your eyes, any mental picture, any image that comes to your mind is not God. What you can see, what you can imagine are creation. God is the creator. The creator is not the same as His creation. And Islam teaches us worship the creator, not worship His creation. Make sense? Now I found God. Remember my prayer from 9 to 10 years old? God, I do not know whether you exist or not. If you exist, you take care of me. Now I found God. Is it easy for me to become a Muslim now? I'm ready to be a Muslim, but not easy to become a Muslim because my parents will not accept me converting to Islam. And I just do not know. Until now, I do not know. But as if my parents knew I'm going to become a Muslim, I was already at the verge of becoming a Muslim. My father said in front of my mother, Shah Kirit, if you ever become a Muslim, you will find the dead body of your mother and your father in this house. And you will be responsible for our death. You can ask any Indians. If their parents threaten to commit suicide, don't take it lightly. You have Indian friends here? You ask them. When I was thinking, what do I answer? I got inspiration and I said, Mother and Father, it is not me who gives life to you. It is God who gives life. It is not me who takes life. It is God who takes life. If you die, I'm not responsible for it. God is responsible. And I say my parents were just keeping quiet, no answer. I quickly go away. Problem solved? Not problem not solved. KIV. Keep in view for the time being. And I'm thinking, what should I do now? I know Allah is my God. I know now. But if I become a Muslim, my parents may commit suicide. But if I don't become a Muslim, I understand I'm doing shirk. But if I become a Muslim, my parents may commit suicide. But if I don't become a Muslim, I'm kafir. If I become a Muslim, my parents may commit suicide. But if I don't become a Muslim and I die, I go to hell. But if I become a Muslim, my parents may commit suicide. What do I do? For about 1 month, I'm suffering. I was thinking, okay, maybe what I can do, I can wait for my parents to die first. Once they've already died, then I convert to Islam. No, it doesn't work that way. Maybe I will die before them. There's no guarantee they would die before me, right? Suppose if I'm driving, okay, I'm just driving, and then suddenly, boom, accident. Did you manage to say the Shahada? No. What should I do now? Or maybe I can hide it from them. Just become a Muslim quietly, don't tell my parents. But eventually, they would know. And they will still commit suicide. No, it doesn't work that way. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And about a month suffering, I came across a small booklet about Quran and modern science. Okay, first of all, Al-Quran is not the book of modern science. Is that clear? It is the book of science, S-I-G-N-S, not the book of sciences. Okay, but in the Quran itself, it contains hundreds of verses that speaks about modern science. Just as an example, Big Bang is mentioned in Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter 21, verse number 30. The sun and moon has an orbit. It's mentioned Surah Yasin, chapter 36, verse number 40. The sun rotates in its axis. Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter 21, verse number 33. The spherical shape of the earth is mentioned in Surah Az-Zumar, chapter 39, verse number 5. Surah Luqman, chapter 31, verse number 29. Surah Naziat, chapter 79, verse number 30. The mountain stabilizes the earth. Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter number 21, verse number 31. The mountains are mentioned as specks in the Quran. In Surah Naba, chapter 78, verse number 6 and 7. On our skin, there is a pain receptor. Surah Nisa, chapter 4, verse number 56. Embryology, Surah Mu'minun, Surah number 23, verse number 14. Two bodies of seeds that meet one another, but they cannot mix with one another. It's mentioned Surah Ar-Rahman, chapter 55, verse number 19 and 20. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on. And I was thinking, wow, how could it possible? How is it possible that the Quran can speak about modern science? 1,400 years ago, there were no sophisticated apparatus then. No lens were created then. No microscope, no telescope, no computer, no satellite. How can the Quran say all this? Subhanallah. One particular verse actually is about embryology. Surah Mu'minun chapter 23 verse 14. Subhanallah. Impossible human being knew about this. Impossible. So there's only two conclusions now. Either the Quran must be from God, or the Quran copied another book, that book must be from God. But no scriptures before the Quran speaks about these scientific works exactly in the same order. Some of the scriptures do speak about embryology or certain things, but it contains mystics, not the same arrangement. So could Prophet Muhammad himself, could he have written the Quran? No. If you take all the human beings 1,400 years ago, could they have written the Quran at that time? No. So the conclusion is, it's impossible the Quran is from human being. So if the Quran is not from human being, it must be from God, and I became a Muslim. I said the two Shahada, I became a Muslim. And when I was becoming a Muslim, I still remember the feelings. Number one, I was thinking, if my parents commit suicide, when they come to know, I will never regret becoming a Muslim. I will feel sad as a son if my parents die, but not regret becoming a Muslim. If this happens 100 times, I will follow and I will accept Islam more than my parents. And I told my ustaz at the time, "Ya ustaz, if I did not get to marry this girl, I will never leave Islam. because I have fallen in love with Islam more than the girl. It is not that my love for the girl in any way become less, no. But the love for Allah is beyond comparison, beyond. When you love Allah and Rasulullah, beyond any comparison, that is the beginning. You taste the sweetness of the Iman. Are we good? And when saying the Shahada, number one, I was so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, thank you Allah for giving me hidayah. Ya Allah, thank you Allah. You did not take my life when I was a kafir. I've met road accidents many times. Sometimes people ask how many people die. But subhanallah, not even a scratch. Thank you Allah. You give me hidayah. And the other feelings that I had at the time was also, I was very angry with the Muslims. I had so many Muslims around me, so many. Not a single one of them did da'wah to me. Proper da'wah, systematic da'wah, we follow up, none. Most of them, they just couldn't be bothered I was a non-Muslim. Brothers and sisters, would you like to see me die as a kafir? Then why didn't the Muslims do da'wah to me? You would say, we never knew you, Brother Shah, then. But brothers and sisters, there are many Shah Kirits outside, including in Australia. But their name is not Shah Kirit. Their name may be Stephanie, Michael, maybe Achong, maybe Mutusami. If I had died as a non-Muslim, as a kafir, on the day of judgment, I will summon every single Muslims I have met on earth, and I will complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against them. Ya Allah, I used to go to school together with these Muslims. Ya Allah, these Muslims used to be my neighbor. Ya Allah, I used to work in the same office with these Muslims. Ya Allah, I used to have lunch together with these Muslims. But they never spoke about Islam to me, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, drag them together with me into the hellfire. Brothers and sisters, what I do da'wah. I revert to Islam. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a knowledgeable person. No. But why do I do da'wah? I'm scared. If on the day of judgment Allah asks me, Shah Kirit, didn't I give you guidance? Didn't I give you hidayah? Didn't you become a Muslim? I would say, yes, Ya Allah, you gave me guidance. I became a Muslim, Ya Allah. And if Allah questioned me, Shah Kirit, why didn't you share Islam with others? What answer could I give? What excuses could I give? None. Even what I am doing now, to me personally, sincerely, I feel it is not sufficient. I really feel I should be doing much more than what I am doing. But I'm a very weak person, very weak. And I hope the little that I do, I hope Allah accepts it. That's what I hope. And brothers and sisters, after becoming a Muslim, do you think there's no more challenges? More challenges after becoming a Muslim. Before becoming a Muslim, lots of challenges, a lot of them. But after saying the Shahada, more challenges. I still remember a few months after becoming a Muslim, there were few times I was contemplating of going out of Islam again. Why? Because of the Muslims. They make my life so hard, so difficult. They wanted to Malayize me. See, in Malaysia, the Muslims over there are Malays. They wanted to make me like a Malay, dress like the Malay, eat the Malay food. Everything is Malay. I'm not a Malay, I'm an Indian. I was born as an Indian, I will die as an Indian. So don't Malaynize me. If a person is a Chinese, he can continue to be a Chinese. If a person is, let's say, an Australian, he can continue to be an Australian. If he's an Aboriginal person, an Aborigine, he can continue to be an Aboriginal person. He can continue with his culture. He can continue as long as it is Sharia compliant, as long as there is no haram in it. But what we normally do is, when people come to Islam, we force them to follow our culture, whichever race that is dominant in the area. If it is the Pakistanis dominant, you got to follow the Pakistani way of dressing. If the Lebanese is dominant, usually it will say you have to follow the Lebanese way, the Arab way. If the Turkish are the dominant race over there, you follow the Turkish way. No, you remain what you are. Islam was not brought for only one community. Islam is for every human beings. True or false? Islam is not against the culture. Continue. To me, I have not declared to my parents that I was a Muslim for about 6 months. That is the best thing that happened in my life, becoming a Muslim, but I cannot share it with my parents because I was very afraid if they may commit suicide. And to get married with the Muslim girl was also not easy, not easy for the family to accept a revert like me as their son-in-law. Not easy. A lot of challenges. And when I was going to do the nikah, I got married with her, alhamdulillah. When I was just going to do nikah, going for to arrange the wedding, everything, etc., done. I remember calling my father, and I declared to my father, Father, next week I'm going to get married. Because I was not in Kuala Lumpur then. I was living about 200 kilometers away from Kuala Lumpur. And I told my father, my parents, I'm going to get married next week. If it is possible, come for the marriage. In my heart, I was hoping, please don't come. Do you know why? If they would have come, they would have been very sad, very upset. Number one, I've become a Muslim. I left their religion. Number two, they would have seen me in the marriage. Everything is Malay, Malay, Malay. Malay dress, Malay food, Malay culture. When there's a mixed marriage, what's wrong if you mix the culture? As long as it is not against the Sharia. True or false? When I told my parents I'm getting married, I remember my father saying, I don't allow you to get married. And I said, because he knew that I'm going to get married to a Muslim girl. He said, he doesn't allow me to get married. And I said, Father, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm asking for your blessings. With or without your permission, I'm getting married. But if possible, I hope you can bless our marriage. And they didn't come for the wedding. Few days after my wedding, my parents called. Have you got married? I said, yes. When are you going to bring our daughter-in-law to the house? And me, what? I just couldn't believe my ears. He's inviting my wife and me to the house. And I have to admit, to be frank, the thought of, is this a trap? Did cross my mind, but never mind. Taught my wife the basic of our language, dress her like the Indian way of dressing, but fully covered. The aura is fully covered. And at the time my parents were living, at that time they were living in a 17-story bungalow house in Kuala Lumpur. You know 17-story bungalow house? Flats. You know flats? You have flats here, like apartments? 17-story. Small flats, not big. And when we came, I still remember when my parents opened the door, my mother and my father opened the door, and they saw my wife, and they just couldn't believe it because they saw she was dressed like an Indian, but of course the aura is properly covered. And my wife spoke our language, greetings and so on. She hugged my mother. We were staying together with my parents for a while. Within 3 days, my parents loved my wife more than me. That's dawah. When you marry a person who comes to Islam, you just not marry the individual, but you marry the individual together with an obligation for the family to do dawah to the family. Can you understand? How many of you are born through a mixed marriage? I think all of you are born through mixed marriage, right? Between men and women. Okay. If you are married, if you get son-in-law, daughter-in-law who is revert to Islam, please be understanding. If you are going to get married to a revert or a convert, please remember we have obligation to do da'wah to their family. Be kind, be good, make things easy. Islam is not difficult. And Ramadan is coming, right? And those who just revert to Islam, please do not force them to fast the full Ramadan. Can you understand? Encourage them to fast the best that they can. The best that they can. If they can fast full Ramadan, Alhamdulillah. But if they can't fast the full Ramadan, what can they do? Maybe the first 2 weeks, they can fast from Fajr up to 11 o'clock in the morning. And after that, they cannot stand any longer. Let them break their fast. After 2 weeks, they can extend another 1 hour. And they can fast until 12 o'clock noon. Let them break the fast. Next year, probably they can fast until 2 o'clock. That's all they can do. Okay, let them break fast at 2 o'clock. The following year, third year, maybe fourth year, only then they're able to do full fasting. Are we good? Brothers and sisters who were born into Muslim family, can you remember the first time you fast? The first time. How old were you? Maybe 4 years old, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. Did you fast for the whole day? No. Probably half a day. And that too, you get some bribes. At the end of the day, you get lollipop or something. Sounds familiar? So whatever you teach to people is gradual. Gradual. Don't be harsh. In Surah Al-Hajj, chapter 2, verse number 78, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ, meaning, we have imposed no burden to you in the matter of religion. In Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 286, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Allah will not test a person beyond his or her capabilities. Whatever test that come to us is within our capabilities. Do your best. What's your best? And not your best. The person who convert to Islam, what's their best? Don't impose your iman onto them. Clear? What did the Prophet says in Sahih Bukhari, volume number 1, chapter 11, hadith number 69? Qala Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Yasiru wa la tu'asiru, bashiru wa la tunafiru. Make things easy, do not make things difficult. Make people happy, don't frighten people away from the religion. When we force people, you must do this, you must do that. They may convert to Islam, they revert to Islam, but after some times, because you force them, they see they can't do it, and they feel Islam is not for them, and they leave the religion of Islam. Do your best. Are we good? Brothers and sisters, I was given about 40-45 minutes. It's about 40 minutes now. Among the signs of the believer is be punctual. So when you're doing da'wah, you need to know what to say, how much to say, what to say first, what to say second, how to prioritize. And very important when we do da'wah, we know when to stop. So with this, I stop. Wa akhiru da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you very much to our organizers, UMA. It has been a pleasure and honor to come here. And when I come here, I don't feel like I am in another place or another organization. I feel like I'm at home. So, inshallah, we meet again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. TQVM. For the right, you have some announcement to make?
Yeah, no, it looks like everyone's very engaged and listening to you and want more. Maybe if there's some time for question and answers, maybe someone has a question they would like to ask.
Okay, my concern is tomorrow is a working day. You guys okay? I'm okay. Are you guys okay?
Yes. If there's any questions from the brothers, maybe you'd like to ask, if Shah's okay with that.
Okay. Yes, okay. They, I mean, both of you raise your hands simultaneously, so you also ask together. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Come, brother. Yeah. Okay. 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 Yes. Okay. Brother, you can answer his question. Okay, no, your question.
Just quickly, the first girl that you met for the Muslim, is that the girl you ended up marrying?
Yes. Alhamdulillah. He asked last and he got the answer first. Okay, never mind. That's how the world is today. Okay, never mind. The brother have asked the question. For those who could not listen to him, couldn't hear him just now, the question was, he's from India himself and he knows it is not easy for a person from India to convert into Islam. And if you know more about me, I'm actually a Gujarati from the Jain Hindu background. It's even worse. I would say among all the Hindu Indian communities, one of the most worst to convert to Islam would be the Jain Hindus, the Jain Gujaratis. Okay, a lot of challenges. When my parents could accept, but they were very embarrassed that the son has become a Muslim. I had 3 sisters under me. I'm the eldest son. I was also thinking, what about their marriage? Who will marry them? So, I mean, lots of problems. And I told them, I was thinking how to overcome, and they said they are very shy to go out of the house. And the community will tell, what, your son become a Muslim? You do not even know how to take care of your son. How can you let your son become a Muslim? You know what I mean? Okay, we will be disgraced. And I told my parent, the best way to overcome this, I suggested to them is, if only few people knew I became a Muslim, they will be gossiping about me. The only way to make sure nobody gossips is to expose I became a Muslim and let every Gujarati in Malaysia know I'm a Muslim. When everybody knows, there's no room to gossip. And I encouraged my parents. I said, let's do a wedding reception for me and my wife. I will pay for it, everything. And invite the Gujarati families in Kuala Lumpur and our relatives and so on. There were a few hundred who came for the wedding reception. And during my reception, my wedding reception, at that time, Michael Jackson, he performed. Yes. No, I'm not lying. He performed during my wedding. But he performed in the stadium. My wedding was in the restaurant. Same night. Clear? Okay? And for me personally, I also want to take that as an advantage of doing dawah indirectly. So if they knew that I'm a Muslim, etc., if they wanted to know more about Islam, they know where to look for if their children want to become a Muslim. And we were very nice to every guest. And few days later, when my father was on the street meeting his friends and so on, they were all praising. They were praising the reception. So Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, and I became a better son, became a better human being. So that's the da'wah. And if I want to share, a lot of other backlash, but we have to come slowly. So perhaps in future, if there is if I do come back again, and if we do conduct some courses or whatever, hope to see you guys, inshallah. That's all, brothers and sisters. Everything that is good, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And me as a human being, I have lots of weaknesses. I seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for my shortcomings. And I hope, brothers and sisters, you too can forgive me if I've done any mistakes or if I've offended anybody. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.